Hey guys, it's Jennie Wolek with Keller Williams Realty, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Wolek Group. I am here with my friend Kristie Smith from Indianapolis. Hey Kristie, I am so excited to introduce you to her. You probably, if you're a Keller Williams agent, you've probably seen her on the big stage with Gary, and she has shared lots of her amazing marketing, and I wanted to share with you guys. So welcome, Kristie.
Welcome. Hello from Indianapolis.
Well, why don't you tell everyone where you serve in your market and what your production looked like last year, what your goals are for this year?
Sure, sounds great. So I live on the northwest side of Indianapolis in a suburb called Zionsville. It's one of our nicer school districts in Indianapolis. And I actually just moved to Zionsville this past summer. So I lived in Indianapolis is kind of a loop. It's a big circle city. We're called the Circle City. And so I lived in the city in a township just south of Zionsville for the entire 20 years that I've lived in Indianapolis. So my husband and I, we had a house fire and we decided to not rebuild in that same location, just kind of have a fresh start. We decided to move to Zionsville, about 9 miles north into the suburbs. So that was a long journey of about 2.5 years of living in transitional housing. And then we just moved in this past summer. So just to give you an idea of my volume went down in 2017, because if you've ever built a massive custom home, well, one, don't ever do it. That would be not a great idea. But it really was kind of a second full-time job, since my schedule was the only one flexible between my husband and I. So what's interesting, though, is my business was really spared because I had set a goal about the business that I wanted to do in Zionsville by the time I actually moved there. In my previous township, Pike Township, I'd been the #1 agent there for 12 years.
Right.
And I was just used to that, right? Where you ever go to the grocery store, where you see people, you just naturally do a lot of business where you live. And I told my husband, I said, oh, I don't want to move to Zionsville and not be the #1 agent there. No, not going to do it. So I had 2 years to build this house, and I studied the Zionsville numbers and said, okay, who's the #1 player there? Every year I'd get a random so many just from referrals, but I didn't dominate that area, even though it was only 9 miles away.
Right.
So I just worked backwards and said, okay, who's the #1 agent? How many sales do I have to have, in order to, what was the average of my last 3 years in Zionsville? So I got a sense of about how many I did per year. And so I said, okay, I want to do 2 things: increase my average sale price by $100,000 and be the #1 agent in Zionsville. Now, because of the increased house prices in Zionsville, they should be they should be a mutual result. Okay. So that's kind of what I did. And I just took all the practices that I'd done before in other areas and said, can I go into someplace brand new and dominate it within 18 months? So that's what I did.
You are so strong and powerful. I know that all of this came out of really tragedy. We met many years ago on a panel together at Family Reunion, and so I've watched as you've gone through this. So you really got to turn all of this into an incredible win for you and your family. So why don't you share with us exactly how you went about your marketing plan and conquering this new city?
Yeah, so when it was time to find a rental, I really wanted to rent something right close to the house. In fact, there was a house in my neighborhood where I was building for an executive lease that was furnished. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I'll be right here where I'm trying to grow my business. I'll be able to kind of micromanage the build a little bit and check on the house every day, and get to know my neighbors in my new neighborhood, a couple years earlier, and be ingrained in that community. So that was just pressing the easy button for me. My husband, God bless him, he's like so nice. He just always laid back, never has a strong opinion about anything. And so literally he just lit up and said, why don't we go live downtown Indianapolis? Neither of us have ever lived urban our entire lives. That whole walkability, wouldn't that be fun? And I'm like, I would expected him to be more the suburbanite, and
Yeah.
and it was just so adorable for me to see this guy who, is real easygoing, just whatever Kristie wants is fabulous to him. Then he just, gets to go easy and be laid back. And it was so endearing for me to see this vision and joyous interest of his. So I said, really? So what we ended up doing was rent downtown Indianapolis, which was about 30 to 35 minutes away from the house in Zionsville that we were building, which took me further away from Zionsville, right? So definitely it put a little kink in my goal. And it wasn't real easy to get there during the week. So always on Sundays, we would go up, sort of tour the house when no one was there. It wouldn't bother any of the contractors, go to church in Zionsville. And then would have to be real intentional the rest of the week. So, you know, on Saturdays, we would pass several farmers market and drive all the way to the Zionsville farmers market. We would go out to eat in Zionsville. I joined the Zionsville Chamber way early on with the school. Any kind of community meetings, you know, Zionsville kind of doesn't have real super exciting fireworks. You know, I'm living downtown where the huge Central Indiana fireworks display is. I'm passing 2 other towns to go to the little Lions Park fireworks in Zionsville while I'm kind of doing this. So really setting intentions to get involved in the community as fast as I could. So that was really my first thing. Know who the players are, understand the political climate, you know, what's a town versus a city. You know, I'm used to politics of we're the state capital in Indianapolis, and I lived in the city. So the Indianapolis mayor, all of state government, I didn't know anything about, you know, Zionsville, you know, who's the mayor? Do we have a mayor? Oh, it's a town council. Okay, what's that mean? Just learning all about the structure of the city, how things get done, where town hall is. You know, I just, you know, I'd go out to eat sometimes in Zionsville, but that was about how much I knew of it. And I knew where all the schools were from being a real estate agent. But that was about it. So just crash course on Zionsville, who, what, where, how, you know, who's an alterationist, you know, all the little nichey, you know, I knew who my shoe repair person was in Indy, and just trying to find all those players in a new market and use them instead of the folks that I was used to using.
Yeah. Wow. You talk about E to P. You were so purposeful with this strategy before you even lived in the city. So let's go ahead and talk on, because everyone needs to know that you were the first guest to ever bust out a shared screen. And so we need to honor you. And so let's share with everyone the marketing plan that you just shared with me.
Yeah, so I had been a really good direct marketing or direct mail person before. That's really how over a few years I dominated Pike Township, which is where I lived. And, you know, I have a marketing background, so I just know how many times it really takes. I mean, 7 times before they even remember you. And so in Pike, I had grown such a following and had been #1 that I only sent out my mailings to my farm once a quarter, okay, for the last several years, but still stayed #1 in Pike, even once I dropped off all the mailings. So I knew I had to go really aggressive in Zionsville, and then I needed to do that for a couple years, become #1, and then I could trail back and cut the budget and just do it quarterly. So technically I didn't live there, but I did own my lot and I was building my house. So I'll kind of share my screen and show you my direct mail here. So I didn't have a lot of good stats in Zionsville because I didn't live there yet and I hadn't sold that many homes. So I had to go into my MLS and really study the stats. And this is what I encourage people to do. You know, what kind of statistic can you come up with? If you've only sold 1 home, but you sold it at 99% of list price, well then you know what? You sold every Zionsville home at 99% of list price. That is a true fact. So luckily Pike Township, where I've dominated, is right under Zionsville, and they're both on the northwest side of town. So I just kind of added both communities together and I got a good impressive statistic that I could use. And this is my front. I kind of adopted this little fish, goldfish, mean good luck. And I wanted this to stand out as a little bit different than just the typical realtor looking postcard. Okay.
Okay. So scroll back over a little bit left so we can see what's on the words there again.
Yep. Can you see it? Okay.
No, go to left to right. Yeah. Or right to left.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. My screen, I can see it just fine, but let's see what I can do here. So what it says is who has, let me just zoom out here. I think that might help you see it a little bit. Does that help?
There, yes, perfect.
There you go. So who's represented the largest volume of Northwest home sales since 2015. And then this is an actually 8.5 by 11 flat mailer. and it's mailed every door direct. And there's only 10,000 homes, single family homes in Zionsville. And page 2 says, I'll zoom out of this one for you as well. Page 2 says, your Zionsville neighbor, Kristie Smith, trust a neighbor to sell your home. I really love that line. I used to use it all the time in my old farm. And so then this looks a little small, but I can zoom in here a little bit on some of these words. I don't know if you can see all that, but I just have some stats. I'm not afraid to use words. I am a copywriter. I have a journalism background. So I do have just some key successes, reasons why you'd want to hire me. I think if the fish catch your eye and you turn it over and you want more than just the homes, these are some recent homes sold. Here are other homes sold that were recent in Zionsville. And then I have a lead capture, which is Zionsville home values are an all-time high. Find the current value of your Zionsville home at zionsvillevalues.com. Yep. So I just bought that domain and I redirect that domain to my valuation page that is on my website. And I mean, it's amazing the number of people who come. And I think the people who don't really care can throw it away. If you're really interested in maybe selling or buying a home this year, you then will read the copy because then that stuff matters to you and calling me.
Right. Okay. So let's talk numbers. How long have you had this program going, and what are your numbers so far?
Yeah. So I just changed to the fish. So I had a different, just I would say plain red and white for KW, very typical looking, no frills layout, with no logo other than my logo for my team is actually just a font. So I did that for a full year for 2017. And I was doing mailings every 2 weeks for January, February, March. That's when really people are getting their homes ready and thinking about having realtors come to their home. So every 2 weeks during that time, then I would go every 3 weeks and then once a month. So it's about 18 to 19 drops per year. So I did that all last year. Then I just redesigned these and I'm back to that same formula of 222. So I'm currently in my 3rd month of every 2 weeks. And then I did 18 drops. So the way to do this affordably is you print all of your drops at one time, and then they're in a warehouse, and then your direct mail company just drops them each time that you send them postage. You have an upfront cost for just all the printing, and then you just pay per drop for the postage in that EDDM farm area. So just to give you an idea, in about 16 months, I have gone to the number 2 agent in Zionsville from not even being on the map, other than people know my name because I do a lot of business here in the community and Indy in general. And so yeah, I'm number 2, and I guarantee you 2018, I'm going to get to number 1.
I love how competitive you are.
It's just my goal. Like I just told my husband for fun, I don't want to live there and not be the number 1 agent. And you know, I wasn't really trying to become the number 1 agent in Pike when that result just happened, 10 years ago. It's just, I did a good job. I was probably one of the best agents in the area. I got the job done and it just grew. And I was like, oh, number 1 just became my identity there, naturally. And so then it just like, well, I am number 1. Like, oh, I'm going to go not be number 1? Who's number 1? Oh, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm going to be like 12. So 12 didn't really sound exciting.
Well, now I think something really important to point out is that you are sending the same mailer.
Yes, that is so important. I talk to people all the time who want to do like, a recipe today and said, move your clocks back. And no. I mean, I know people are so surprised, but if it's repetitive, the same color, the same everything. 1, it's way cheaper. I mean, I send this whole thing. It's 8.5 by 11. It's really thick paper. It's so nice. It's professionally designed. It is 26 cents all in. That is for printing, postage, and then I have to pay a fee for handling, and they schlep it to the different, post office and do all that every time. That's my total. When I take the annual budget divided by every card that hits a household, it's 26 cents. I mean, you can't match that on any of those websites. And then it's just turnkey. Once I design it, set it and forget it. I don't have a marketing person who has to design a new postcard every month, or that's a lot. And then, you could accidentally get typos. This is such a big printing that we use professional copy editors to make sure that, it was read, 50 times by
Right.
15 different people. You can't take it back once you've printed. I mean, I'm doing this in 3 farms. I still farm pike because Gary told me not to let that farm go, even though I thought, oh, those homes, I'm moving on. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you can't get rid of your farm. So I am farming pike still. And I'm just doing that monthly since I dropped off and didn't mail to them for about 2.5 years. I still stayed number 1, but Gary scared me that I was going to lose that whole farm. So I'm just doing monthly with them. And then right next to Zionsville is a suburb, very, very similar, but much larger city, but same price point. A luxury market that I decided to farm 15,000. So I'm doing 35,000 homes in this farm, and the postage that it costs to drop this one time to all 3 at one time is right around $5,500 is the postage fee.
Yeah. Well, obviously you are such a savvy businesswoman, so I know that you're getting a return on your investment from. So what kind of numbers would you like to share?
Well, first of all, I went down in transactions last year by 30 transactions, which was the first time in my career that I'd ever even gone down. Even in the slow years, I never went down. So this was the first year that I went down in transactions, really because I was distracted with another job of, building this house. But here's the thing, Jennie, my average sale price in 2017 went up by $85,000. I didn't meet the $100,000 goal, but $85,000 times my transactions, my GCI actually went up. So we made just a little bit more money. It was about a push, let's call it. So we made a little bit more GCI. Expenses were pretty constant, and we had to transact and have the administrative costs of 30 less transactions. So, in some ways I think, I went backwards, but wow, it just all worked perfectly. And I guess if I'm making the same money doing less business, awesome. And I think too, when the average sale price goes up, that's a higher concierge clientele. Those homes sometimes take longer to sell, to have people in those price points that purchase them. And those are also more high touch customer bases that take more time. So it is, I think, an industry norm that the higher your sales price, typically the less transactions you'll do. So but I'm back. I'm back, and we're going back up. Kristie's back this year, so we're back on track.
You are. So you weren't you knew that naturally your average sales price would go up because you moved to a higher price point area. And in the end, although your units were less, so really you probably, how was life administrative wise when you are moving to a different market? You still are cranking out your marketing. Were you receiving how are you getting touches and phone calls, emails, logins to your home value site? What is the way that they're really responding to this marketing?
Yeah, so I have a really good home value site. I actually don't even use the one that comes with the website that I use. I pay separately for the one from Real Geeks. I really like it because what you do is you just go in and you can go to Zionsville Values and test it. But you just literally put your address in, like all of them, and it auto-populates your address. And as soon as you hit submit, it asks you 3 questions, like how many bedrooms and bathrooms do you have to get a proper evaluation. And then when you hit the next button, it literally brings up the valuation, and you can see the numbers for like a second, and then it pops up this, just give me your name, email, phone number, really quickly.
Jeez.
And because it's such a tease, 50% of the people do give me their information. Okay, of those people who just say, forget it, and they hop off, well, I still lead capture the address, of course. So I used to, in my first year, I didn't do anything with those people. I could look them up. I could see how expensive the house was. A couple times when we were not too busy, I was just really distracted last year. So a couple of times when they were, I know exactly this neighborhood, I love it, or this house price is amazing house price, or look, they even expired last year and have never listed. This is such a hot prospect. I bought 100 of the One Thing books from the Keller store and would write them a note to say, I've probably only done it 5 or 10 times, selling your house with our team is the one thing you can do this year to get your house sold. If it made sense, but I was just very inconsistent with executing that. So, and it's costly, right, to, do all that. So this year what I decided, and everybody else I didn't contact at all. So let's say I got 100 last year, 50 with names, 50 with no names. The no names got nothing. This year, I'm a little bit more administratively savvy. Now what we're doing is I wrote an amazing letter that's really cool. Like, hey, if you're just wondering what your net worth is, or if you want to know the value of your home, or or maybe even sell, like selling is just a casual afterthought. I'd love to consult you and answer any of your questions. So it's just a real non-pushy email or letter on really nice KW luxury letterhead, typed with all the correct spacing of, a corporate letter. I sign them all, and they go every morning out for any of the home valuations that come in the day before. So we do the people who give me their information and those that don't. And of course, we just look up who they are for those who aren't, because nobody puts in an address that's not their own address,
Right. Isn't that
I can't believe I've only started implementing the letters since January, and I can't believe how many people who have called me and said, I got your letter. And they didn't even remember being on the home valuation site. It's just a letter, has my business card, and like, wow, I'm getting a response from the letter. So that's key. And that's virtually free to send the letter, 50 cents.
Would you be so kind as to share that letter with me that I can share it with everyone? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I am just so proud to know you. You are Spitfire, go-getter. I have always enjoyed our time together.
Me too. And
it's so fun watching you grow and blossom and just dominate. And I can't wait for you just to crush Zionville.
Yes. And of course, we do business all over Indianapolis for sure.
Right.
But it's been fun. And, when you go into a new community, and I don't have any children, so, getting connected is, sometimes that can be lonely, and you really want to get out there and be connected as quickly as possible. So I think I've done a good job of meeting people and doing business. And we do business in a fun way that we get homes really ready. And I think I'm increasing home values and people's net worth by selling these homes for more than what I think other agents would or could. So I'm helping my own community at the same time.
That's a great way to put it. How can everyone reach out to you when they have a referral for you?
Yeah, our website's pretty easy. It's indyhomes.com, INDYHOMES.com. And I'm Kristie Smith, helping people on the move in central Indiana.
You sure are. What a great job. Well, I am so excited to see you, and I'll talk to you soon. And if you guys need anything from me, my number is 918-706-9845. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye. Good luck.